morning. Hello there,
Hey,
badass ones up
hey.
there. Welcome to the Unapologetically Badass podcast. And I am Renee.
I am Sierra.
And we're really excited today. We're going to dive into some juiciness, some topics that some of you may agree with me, may agree with Sierra, may not agree at all. But, I think Sierra and I were discussing the political climate that we're in. And, we're both on the same page where we can appreciate people having a difference of opinions. And we love on everyone as long as they're kind. We don't like any bashing, but we think it's important to bring up some of the topics that are concerning for us as not only as women, as mothers, as you're a grandmother. I'll be one, hopefully, prayerfully, some year, not yet, kids. But we'll get there. And there are some things that are happening in the world, and we're going to dive in and talk about stuff that and we would love to hear other people's opinions and feedback and comments on what's the most concerning for you all, what is keeping you up at night.
Yeah. And, I think when we do discuss politics, it's one of those things when you go with your girlfriends, it's kind of like, do we discuss politics and religion? You try not to discuss that, but I would never, ever stop being friends with somebody because their religious beliefs are not the same. I respect and appreciate everybody's journey in that. And when it comes to politics, I am so motherfucking fed up with being hateful to people because of their beliefs. Get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm done. I am going to believe what I want, and I cannot convince you to believe what I believe. We cannot change a person's mindset if they're 100% stuck. Some of you that are teetering and you're like, I really just want to know the truth. I want to know other women's true opinion, and you can be swayed. Fine, then I'll talk to you. But why am I going to waste my time going battering back and forth and then deleting you as a friend or unfollowing you on social media because you're not on the same side as me?
Yeah.
Get over ourselves and let's love each other, because that is what's wrong with our fucking country.
For sure. And I've been canceled.
I'm the princess. World peace.
Yeah. I have been canceled. People have removed me, cut me off because of my stance. And very rarely do I put something out there on social media, but when I do, I pause and want to be as respectful as possible, because I understand and appreciate that we may have difference of opinions. And I'm okay with having that. Like you said, I would never, unless it's somebody I don't really know, but I would never really unfollow, remove someone just because we think differently, or we have, a policy that's concerning to me may not be concerning to them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes. Just because you have a different policy thought on, let's just say, the border, I don't know, whatever your thoughts are on drugs, okay, does not mean that you're a bad person.
Right.
That is your opinion, and that is your opinion.
Yeah.
And this is mine. I still love you.
Exactly. Still love you. And I don't know. Yeah. That's the world that we're in with this cancel culture. There's no tolerance. That's the problem. That's the thing that I freaking hate, is the lack of tolerance for other people. If you're not like me, they're like, fuck you.
I want you.
You don't
want that, ladies. If you're listening to this and you cancel us because you don't like us, oh wow.
Right. We still love you, by the way. But when we said we're going to be unapologetically badass, we are who we are. We have our beliefs, and it's okay. We know we're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. We know that, right? But there are a lot of people that appreciate people who are bold enough to be honest with who they are. But again, like we said in other episodes, we probably could not have gotten here without experience and age and wisdom.
True.
Right.
And I know a lot of you that are following us now, because you've been listening to us for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You're at the same place. You are 100% oh yeah, I relate to them because I am who I am. I love who I am, and I relate to that. And now you're going to sit here and you're listening to us talk politics, and you're like, uh-oh, what if they don't believe what I believe.
Yep.
And that is okay, because we want everybody to have a say, but we don't want ugliness. Like, if you're going to
Yeah.
comment, don't bash anybody. Just say, I stand strong in this, and
Yeah.
here is why. And as women, respectfully, that's what we want to do. And Renee and I wanted to talk about where we stand as women, from our fear to our concerns to our true core beliefs. And that ultimately is what's important. And you may agree with me, you may not. She may not agree with me, and I may not agree with her, because I know that we do have a little bit of differences in each, like some of the things that we've said to each other. But for the most part, we're really on that same track. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah.
So just stay with us, stick with it. Just be open-minded and agree or disagree as you're listening. But, if you get a little pissed off, it's okay, because maybe you're just not agreeing with that. You're like, no, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Just finish listening, because you might find somebody else in the group that, that listens, and they're on the same track as you, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely, I think we're both open-minded, where we want to hear why somebody believes something different than we do.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing, is why. What I see, and of course, not of course, but I like to watch multiple different types of news and get my news from many places, because I don't want to just be pigeonholed, because we know, especially in the social media world, is you watch one thing that's you believe in, you're going to see a million more videos and reels about that, leaning towards your side and your belief. Yeah. So I tried to look at different perspectives, because there might be something like, what am I missing? Because I think that's where we are. That's where I am. What the hell am I missing? Like, I
need to hear the different perspectives so that I can create my own.
Yeah, but I can't understand why some people are for certain policies or candid, and I'm going like, what?
Yeah.
What? So please educate me, because I don't get it. Like, when it comes to borders, I know that, Sierra, you and I are on the same, like, I want a wall. I don't want illegal immigrants. This country is built on immigrants.
We need to say why, but we need to understand why we want this.
I know that there are families that have tried to come to this country with the legal, send the paperwork, get a sponsoring family, like having responsibility to what are you going to contribute to this society, and not be a drain on our resources. They were refused for whatever reasons, right? And I'm not talking terrorists, I'm talking families, but they were refused. But then you have this open border policy where, oh, if you're not happy in your country, come here and we're going to give you free healthcare. We're going to give you education. We're going to give you. That's not their right. That's not their right. So what pisses me off is that we have people that we take better care of from other countries than we do our own citizens, our veterans, homeless.
Yes.
Like, that's
as a single moms,
right?
Renee, like, we struggling to put our kids through college, and then there's some people that are getting a free education, and us as single moms, we're like, how is my son or how is my daughter going to go to college this year? How am I going? Okay, do they stay home? We struggled with those thoughts and paying those student loans. And yet there's people that are freely just walking in and just getting it. And you're like, why couldn't my son? Why couldn't her daughter?
Yeah. I worked my fucking ass off to pay for my daughter's college education. And then to see other people, then to see the government going, oh, we're going to give free education to illegal immigrants, or even the proposal to pay off student debt. I worked my ass off so we didn't have student debt.
Yes.
Am I going to get a check in the fucking mail? I don't think so. So those things really piss me off. Like, I want it to be fair for all. I don't want it to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same for all. It has to be a fair playing field.
Well, and I have two really good immigrant stories. And I have a very, very good friend in California, and we love their kids. One of them was my son's best friend. They were they grew up together, but they snuck over from Mexico, really good people, had all of their children in the US. So all of their children are legal, okay? But if something were to happen to them, they would go back, but the
Mhm.
kids would stay. And that was always a concern
Mhm.
for us as them as our friends and as my son watching them grow up. It's sad, but there's policies in place to apply for that and things to do, because leads me to another story. I had a family member who married a woman from the Philippines, brought her over, and they went through the whole process. But it is long,
It is.
exhausting. She had to take these tests that were some of the questions I didn't even know
I
I was
wouldn't
going
know
to
how to
study.
pass. Right, right,
I was like, what's in the top of the flag thing? A mat, a razor, a what? You
yeah,
know? And I'm like, you go, girl. She
yeah,
knew more about our country than I did. And I was
right,
like really impressed that what we put people through to
yeah,
legally get. And that's how it should be. And then I had a friend in the military, in the army, who joined the military in order to get her status. And she too had to take the test, but she went through the steps legally. I will My belief and where it comes from is that other countries don't fucking want us there.
right,
They kick
right.
our ass out.
Yes,
Other countries don't want, they're like, no, you can't live here.
right.
No, you can't be a part of here. If you go to Europe, you got to leave on that time frame, and that's
Yep,
it, girl. Like, get
yep.
out of our
That's
country.
it. That's it. And that's the
Why
thing.
is
As long as you're doing it the legal way, that's what this country was built on. So beautiful. And I think it's a beautiful story for anybody who wants a better life for their family. I completely appreciate it. We are blessed that we live in a
yes,
country where we get to decide what we're going to do, how we're going to live. We're very fortunate, and I can see why other people from other countries want the same type of lifestyle.
yes,
Doesn't mean you should get here illegally. If you get here illegally,
exactly.
you're not going to be contributing to society, paying taxes. We've got illegal
It's
immigrants
not our
that driving
problem.
cars. They don't even know how to
Yes,
drive in their country, and that we're letting them on our streets with cell phones,
yes.
texting, driving. The amount of accidents, like, it's just so, to me, this is insanity. How is this
Yeah,
common sense?
how is it our responsibility to enable other people who are doing it wrong? It's almost like having
Yeah,
a child who is an alcoholic or a drug addict, and you as the parent are enabling them and
right.
encouraging them to continue the bad behavior. There
Yeah.
is a way to do it and a way not to do it, and that is where I think we both stand,
Yeah.
Renee. It's like, that's why we want a wall. We're not saying build a wall, be mean, be inhumane. We're not
No.
in any way, shape, or form saying be inhumane to anybody.
No.
We're saying you shouldn't have come over, slap your hand, now you got to
Now
go
you
back.
go back. And if you want to come
Here's
back
the
to this country,
paperwork.
here's the paperwork to apply, not even reapply, to apply to get in the correct way. For
And
sure.
I would love to know if there is a female or even a man listening, and you work for the immigration department, and
Yeah.
you understand why it's so difficult to try to apply and get in, because I know it is, and I know it costs a lot of money too.
Yeah.
So some people don't have that. By all means, share with us like why it's so screwed up and why people do attempt, because
Yeah.
I have so many people that have come illegally and have made a life for themselves. But they eventually went through the process, and they're trying and they want to. But I also know that there's so many bad people that
There's
are
so
coming
many
in and
bad
taking
people.
advantage and
Yeah.
taking away from my freaking kids,
Right.
my neighbors'
Right.
friends, my grandson. They're taking away from my grandson's opportunity because he was born here and they weren't.
Yeah.
It's not
It's so
right.
unfair. And how are these kids going to be educated? So we have to have, the bilingual. So now we're taking those resources because there's only so much money, right? I mean, granted, our
Well,
debt
and
is so crazy,
but
but
bilingual, okay, but let's talk about bilingual, Renee, because unfortunately, if you have an immigrant from Germany that illegally comes over
yeah,
here, there isn't no bilingual for
yeah,
them.
Right.
They're trying to figure it out. The only bilingual that we really truly offer in the United States is Spanish and English. We
Yes.
don't do any other countries. So think about that.
Yeah, but it's not so it's not our responsibility. If we go to Germany, you got to fucking learn German.
Mhm.
You go to Italy, granted there are some people that can speak English and no matter what country you go to, but their country is their language.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. So if you want to come here, learn the language. Not saying it's going to be easy, not saying it's going to be quick, but learn it. It shouldn't be. I'm so tired of us acquiescing to everybody else.
And
That's what I
we
think. We can love on everyone,
can't
but we
do
can't
it.
acquiesce and bend and contort and change for other groups that are coming in here.
We need to be taking care of what is here.
Yes.
My son and daughter-in-law, who are a young couple who have a baby, should not in the United States should not be struggling to take care of their baby and to educate themselves
Mhm.
when somebody else who brings a baby in can get full complete medical for that baby because she's here illegally. I almost want to tell, I saw a funny TikTok. I want to tell my daughter-in-law, go to Mexico, live there for a year, become a resident there, and then come here illegally. You'll get everything.
Yep. It's the truth. That's why I don't understand. Like we're lacking common sense.
Yeah.
We're lacking common sense. So
And I think that my opinion of some people who might think opposite are that we're being inhumane. And I
right.
want people to know that I never want harm
No.
for another person.
Right.
I want respect and love equally. And I want what's right to be done here first before we try to do right for other people.
Yeah. I am 1000% in agreement for sure. And it's up to, the government's got to figure out because like you said, the policy to get in the immigration policy and the procedure being so time consuming and so financially exorbitant, that needs to be, reformed, I think for sure.
Yes, that's what the fucking problem is that
Yeah.
people are left or right, but nobody's talking about fixing the shit.
Fixing the shit. Well, and then what the okay, we can get so worked up. I can get so worked up.
I know.
Right? But with the politics, one side will say, "Oh, well, we submitted a bill and it's going to do XYZ." And the other side's like, "Okay, bullshit. You submitted a bill, but you didn't disclose to your side that it's filled with all of this bullshit stuff that we don't think we should be paying for." So there's no full transparency. And the news media, for sure, they guys on both sides, totally on both sides, but they will only show the narrative they want to share.
So if you have a policy of 20 lines and this number one benefits this side, they're going to only show that on the news. And number 20, if that benefits this side, they only talk about number 20. But what, like you said, what about the meat of the bullshit? That doesn't make sense for Americans.
Right.
And those are the policies that have to be changed. And nobody's ever talking about changing the damn policies. Like, okay, I mean, a big one as a female is the abortion. Yeah. And this is so hard to talk about, but it has to be talked about. Yes, we went to the Roe versus Wade. How many years ago? 2019. Was it 2019? Something like that, right? But that was each state. Mm-hmm. And I am in a state that I think got it wrong, but I do not want anybody to kill a baby. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I have sat in an abortion clinic with one of my soldiers holding her hand as she was about to abort her baby. Mm-hmm. And I was there to support her. On the other side of me, I had a lady that I talked to while she was having her procedure that said she had had 13 abortions. What the fuck? That's disgusting. Yeah. That is gross. And as a female, if you're going to use abortion to kill your baby as a form of birth control, please tie your tubes.
Yep. Yep.
But I also believe as a female, I should have the choice.
Right.
I do. It is my body. And if I'm going to die, if I got abused, if I was raped, if I
Yeah.
have a medical surgery, if I am 12 years old and I do not want to tell my family, I should have a safe place to go. But I need to also have, that's where the policy comes into play. I need to have a repercussion that this is not a birth control
Yep.
solution.
Yeah.
Here are your choices. I don't want to do a Beth Dutton thing. Like the Beth Dutton is that her brother took her to an abortion clinic
Mhm.
and she got an abortion, but the stipulation that he had to sign was that she had to have her uterus removed at 15
Right.
years old
Right.
and she would never have a chance to have a
Yeah.
kid. Like it wasn't her choice.
Yeah.
He took that away from her because he signed that. But that abortion clinic had that in policy. Some abortion clinics have policies that you can abort all the way through. There's 6 states that I looked up. You can abort all the way past 20 weeks.
Yes. There's
Babies
videos.
live.
Right.
Babies live.
Right. There were videos that I just recently saw that they're talking to an abortion clinic and pretending that, they're 32 weeks pregnant, their boyfriend left them, and the abortion clinic was accepting and
Yeah.
saying that they will, and walked her through what this was going to look like and the pain and the needle and doing this, the recovery time. That is disgusting. It's killing. It is murder.
It's
I
murder.
don't believe in that. I don't condone it whatsoever. But I am on the same page as you as far as I do believe that women, we have rights. It is our body and we have to make those decisions. But I think that there needs to be common sense about it. Like you said, it's not if God forbid, if our child, if anybody, any woman raped, I can understand needing psychologically wanting to have an abortion. I
My
appreciate.
sister, like I shared this story a couple episodes ago, or maybe it's going to be soon. She hemorrhaged almost to death. She cannot have another baby.
Right.
So as they're waiting for him to get tied, to get his vasectomy, if she were to get pregnant accidentally, she would have to have an abortion because
Yeah.
she will die. That she will
Right.
hemorrhage again.
Right.
And my heart breaks for her because she did want to have multiple kids, but
Yeah.
she literally can't. It will threaten her life. So she has to be able to have that choice.
Absolutely.
Um,
And it's not
and
fair that if you live in this state, you have that option and you live in this state. Like
we fucked that one up.
I think that was a huge fuck up. I just think that I do think that there needs to be a federal policy. Personal belief.
Yeah.
I do believe that it has to be a responsible federal policy. And it
And women
has
need to
to,
vote for this.
yeah,
Don't let the men vote for this. It almost
yes,
should just be like a federal, like as a female, you get to vote, men, you don't. I'm sorry.
yes.
If
But,
there's men listening.
but I do think when it comes to the upcoming election, is looking at all the policies and not just one.
Yes.
Because I think, on both sides, people look at one or the other.
Yeah.
Where if you really dive in and listen to a candidate's policy, not what the media is explaining, but do your fucking research. Stop listening to 3-minute TikToks and thinking like that's your side. Really dive in and be open-minded to learning and educating yourself. And then having those discussions with your family, as uncomfortable as it is. But especially, us, we have adult children who are eligible to vote, which is a blessing for them. And it's interesting hearing their perspective on some things and then having the discussion saying, well, and diving in with questions. Well, where did you hear that? And why do you feel that way? And why are you leaning towards that? And being able to have them hopefully being open-minded to hearing our side. And I have had those discussions with, especially with my oldest, and it was like, oh, well, that makes sense. And I can see why, you feel that way. But it's really important to listen and pay attention to all of the policies that affect you and your family and not just
Yeah.
one and thinking that's your candidate.
Absolutely. That's not enough because abortion is not right on either side. And I'm just going to say it and I'm going to
Right.
piss you all off, but they don't have it right on either side.
Nope.
So if
Nope.
you're a left or a right, I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
Yep.
It's a fucked up policy,
Yep.
all hands down. It needs to
It's
be
down.
relooked at and changed. And
Yeah.
who made the changes, who didn't, it doesn't matter. State by state, it's wrong.
It's wrong. Yep, for sure. So I think, check that box off going, both parties suck on this topic.
Yeah. Can't choose a
So
side with abortion, y'all. You just can't.
you
Don't even if
can't.
you hear it, just don't
Right.
like.
No,
Now,
absolutely.
economy.
Yep.
We can check a box,
That
right?
right. If you're like, oh no, I'm sitting back, I am making money is just flowing, and you have no concern in the world, then God bless you. But you're in the minority for that, and most families are feeling the fucking pinch. I mean, it's
Mm.
incredible. I mean, housing prices, and so, okay, so let's just check this box. Housing prices. We all know and we see housing is through the roof, right? Feel
Mhm.
really bad for our younger adult children who want
They
to
can't afford
purchase
it.
a house. What do they have to make in order to have a $500,000 home? They don't. They have college debt. But what annoys me is if people are on the left when they go, "Oh, we're just going to write a check." Well, we'll give you $25,000 for a down payment. Who the fuck do you think is going to pay for that? So you
That's just like what
got
happened with 2020. I mean,
right.
like we kept getting stimulus checks. Now what's happening?
What's happening? We have to pay. So for those of us that work and pay taxes, we have to pay for it. The
Yeah.
illegal immigrants coming over the border who's not paying taxes don't have to pay for anything.
I
So
have a German exchange student who's my son, who I love him. He comes every
yeah,
year and sees us, but they get taxed up the ying. Okay. I mean, like the taxes are like 40-50%. It's crazy because of policies like that
yeah,
that they had to put in place. And he explained it all to me like, oh, well, if you want this, well, we just tax you.
right. And so I go, why is that not common sense? Why are people going, oh, this is great? Give me, like, I can understand there are some
You
people
see.
that are fucking lazy in this country. Lazy. They're going to sit on their ass and they just want the handouts. Okay. So I get that.
Which those policies need to be changed too, Renee.
Absolutely. But I think we're enabling, right? There's a side that wants to enable and want people to be dependent on them. And I think that's where the biggest divide
Yeah.
is we have a sense of independence. If I work my ass off and I have this, it's fucking mine. I'm not sharing it with you. If I choose to give you one, my choice. But this is mine. Like Reagan said, it's the economy, stupid. Stay out of my business. Stay out of my pocketbook, and we're good. I'll pay my fair share. I want safety. I want police. I want fire departments. I want clean roads with no potholes. I get it. I'm okay with paying taxes, but I'm not okay for paying for other people when I have to work 2, 3, 5 businesses in order to like do good, help my kids, save for retirement, enjoy life. I shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have. Nobody should have to say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can't do this because I have to pay for people I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
Not fair. I don't
No,
know where the
it's
common
not.
sense is. And I don't know how one side thinks that that's okay. I don't.
Yeah.
So for those that can't tell where I stand on the policies or where I stand
Well,
for
and I keep hearing these things about I don't want my democracy taken away. I have never heard, well, I have heard one side speak about that your democracy will be taken away, but I haven't physically heard that your democracy will be taken away with the other side. So it's almost like words are being put in people's mouths.
Mhm.
Democracy was the choice and decisions of fucked upness that we have made year after year, and nobody has changed anything.
Yep.
Let's just figure that one out,
Right.
right? And we could blame it on one specific side, or we could just take ownership that sometimes we just got it wrong, but what
Yeah.
are we doing to fix it and going in
Right.
a different direction?
Right. What are we going to do to fix it? And when it comes to democracy, and it comes to people wanting to vote, everyone should vote, no matter what state you live
Yes,
in, and you know that the
yes.
Electoral
What
College is
age?
gonna lean whatever, you still have a voice, and we're grateful and thankful to people like Sierra, who fought for our country, who enrolled in the military to preserve our freedom. We owe that to everybody who has lost their lives, to families who have loved ones that they have lost
Yes.
because they were fighting for our freedom. So don't sit back on your fucking ass. Go out there and vote.
Because
Bottom
you're
line,
right.
no matter what you
You're
do.
right.
But what I also don't like, and not to keep on going back to illegal immigrants, but if they're allowing people who are not American citizens to vote in our election, that's not democracy. That is crushing democracy, because
It's
it's
what we
just not
stand
fair
for.
what we stand for. Now you're letting people who don't have skin in the game to make
Yeah.
decisions on who should be running our
Right.
country.
Can
How
you
does that fucking
imagine
make sense?
us just traveling to France
Right.
and we're just there and we're like, we're just not going to leave. And now I want to vote.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you how you should run your country. Oh, by the way, give me my check.
Yeah.
Like,
I need you to pay me to stay here
yep,
so I can have my flat. And
right.
then I need you to give me food stamps so I can go to the market.
Yep.
And I need you to give my kids medical and
Mhm,
education. And I
mhm.
want to have a say in what you're doing here.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, if you just sit back and you say that, you have to laugh
It-
and say, what the fuck is wrong with us? Why would
yes.
anybody want that?
Why would anybody want that? What? So that's what this whole cycle, I just have this like, what the fuck are people thinking? Like, how is this? It doesn't make sense to me. It just does not make sense for so many things that I hear and see, sides saying.
But what I am sick of is paying $7 for eggs. I mean, like our
Right.
farmers, I am totally for like homesteading and learning to live off your land. I know that sounds really cheesy, but I do think that we need to also teach our kids how to do that. We need to teach our kids, number one, to get off this. I need to get off this, but I do think that we need to teach our kids how to actually how to be able to
Yeah.
survive if they need to, because what if we have a massive shutdown? What if,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
can't have this in their hand? Will they know
Yeah.
how to literally survive without that? I don't
Yeah.
know, but I know that's kind of politics, kind of not, but it goes into the sense of the control,
It is
Renee.
control. Yep.
You control my decisions and what I should and shouldn't do. And
Mhm.
that is taking away what our country stands for. And I'm
Yeah.
not for that at all.
No, no. And it reminds me of videos that I've seen where people who are pro-abortion, where they're screaming, "My body, my right. My body, my choice. Here's a vaccine. Make sure you take 20."
And the mask and wear your mask.
And wear your mask, right? Like, my body, my
I,
choice. Wear a
yeah,
mask, get a vaccine. You suck if you don't. And they're like screaming.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, these people are like, what? How does that make sense? They're talking out of both sides of their mouth. It's either your body, your choice, and you can do what you want and not wear a mask and not get vaccinated, or the government's going to take control over everything you do. Do you
And
want
now
that?
if we have a crisis again, or God forbid, another pandemic, nobody's going to listen to you. Think that our country will shut down again? No, and we're all going to die because we're not going to want to shut down because the way that it was handled. But I feel like somewhat we did an okay job just trying to like protect, because nobody knew
Yeah,
that. And I'm not taking away. I actually have some friends that lost friends with COVID,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
very sad. But I also have friends that lose friends from flu. I have a friend who lost a
right,
baby from the flu.
right.
So any disease, I don't want to take away if you've had a loss.
Yeah.
We did not know.
We
Like
do
we
not
didn't
know.
know.
Yes. But we
And
also know that people were checking off the COVID box,
yeah, so once I
regardless
got
of what
COVID,
they
yes, yes.
heard of.
And
Right.
once I got COVID and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's not that bad for me." For
Right.
me, It was a breeze, right? I'm like, oh, so I'm not going to wear my mask because if I get it again, I'll be fine.
Yep.
That
Yep.
should have been my choice. My
Exactly.
business got shut down
Wow. Right. Right.
because it wasn't my choice.
Yep.
3 months of having to pay $4,000 with no revenue coming in.
Yep.
It wasn't my choice. It
Yep.
wasn't my body, my choice. I
Right.
had to
Right.
totally take it away.
Right.
And so now if I'm running a business and something like this happens again, it's going to be like that saying wolf. I'm not going to want to do it, but what if it really is dangerous this next time? What
Yeah.
if it could be truly like, I mean, it was life threatening, but even more deadly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like an apocalypse zombie. Like, what if dead people start eating people? I mean, you know,
I'm
so,
probably gonna
and then here,
fire myself. I can't. I'm not a fighter like that. I just can't. I don't have it in me. I'm like I'll be hiding. Although I did say that I want to like get, stockpile food. It's funny because I was not ever like that. Like, but I think COVID changed me in that way where I
yeah,
used to really believe that the government had our best interests at heart. I used to. Whether that's being naive, trusting, I don't know what it is. But as post COVID and seeing and listening and doing more deep dives and trying to learn more and understand more and seeing the things like you mentioned, the farmers and growing food, when we see the amount of chemicals that are in our food. Now, for a long time, I don't eat a lot of processed food. Do I cheat and I eat junk food? Absolutely. But I'm not a health nut. I'm not either way. But going in and looking at ingredients on stuff, looking at the fact that the pharmaceutical companies would be out of business if we don't have prescription medication and vaccines and stuff like that. So, okay, the FDA is like, oh yeah, this is safe. Cyanide in it. So, you know,
diarrhea,
yeah,
nose
this is safe.
bleed,
I mean, food, everything, right? And then all of us, we have obesity. Well, no shit. We have heart disease. No shit. Because of this. So it's a cycle that no one's protecting us. Everyone needs to do their research, whether it's food that we eat, whether it's the politicians we vote for, whether it's the schools we have our children go to, whether it's the doctors we choose to go to help us. So I'm a big
how
now.
is it that we still, in Europe they ban over 13,000 ingredients and we still only ban 300? It's because of pharmaceutical companies
Yep.
and money. It's
Money.
all comes down
All
to money.
about the money.
And what was it? My husband always says, what brought a country down? Rome could have been like ruled the world.
Yeah,
Or,
the Roman Empire. Every
all.
empire falls, they say, right?
Yes, and it was greed, and I feel like
Greed.
US was like the strongest, and just this just like fighting over what they say is best for us, but nobody ever does anything.
Yep.
We're falling. Our empire is falling, and all these other countries are sitting back and going,
Yep.
we
Yep.
haven't had an attack on our country, Pearl Harbor, 9/11. But we have this defense system that we are one of the very privileged countries that all we're doing is protecting. We don't have to fight wars here. We don't have people constantly attacking us for a reason because we are that strong and nobody's brave enough. But the more we divide and crumble,
Yep.
other countries just sit back and laugh at us and they're like,
Yeah.
just wait, we're coming.
We're
And
we're letting them, right. We let them in. They're
coming.
They're
and
here.
Through our doors to set up.
Yep.
They're
here.
An attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They are totally here. It's very scary, and it's just a scary time. I don't want to see, us get into war. I don't want to see, there being,
my son is a sergeant my son is a sergeant in the Army, and he's about to go to pilot school. And the last thing I want is World War III.
Right.
But it's like just these things that keep happening. And if we are not careful and we allow people to come in and keep doing the same things, it just shows weakness, bam.
Yep. And they're going to they're taking advantage of it because we look like we are weak. And that's why they can. I mean, China, Iran, you see Russia, people, there are bad people in this world who want to do bad things to
To
those that
us
to us
constantly.
because we have so much freedom. And I think this country's got to wake up because we're going down a really bad path, and I don't want I don't want to be controlled.
And
So,
crime goes up. They say some of there was a thing about crime is going down. Well, crime may be going down, but it was really, really bad here because our economy is so bad that people have to resort to doing bad things. And domestic violence goes up. I mean, these kids are shooting up schools left and right because their home life, they're
yeah,
teasing, the bullying,
yeah,
but yet we are bullying each other as adults.
yeah. They
As
see it.
females, we bully each other as
Right.
females, and our
Mm,
kids see us
yeah,
bullying or being bullied. And then they do these things, and our society wonders, why? How
yeah,
did that happen?
yeah,
Well,
for
look
sure.
what you're doing. Look at how you act when the news says something and you're angry and frustrated, and your 3, 4, 5 year old is seeing that. They're now frustrated and angry.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
It's
For
crazy.
sure. Yep, it's we're in a crazy time. Crazy time. And these things, I'm sure all of these topics, really hit a lot of us women because it's something that is very concerning as we are getting older. We don't want to see we see it. A lot of us see the issues, and I can't say I'm dumbfounded because when people go into politics, I think a lot of people that go into politics have like they go in it for the right reasons. And then a lot of them, not
Burnt
all of them. And then when they come out and they're in it for a little bit and they're multi millionaires in a public servant position,
Mhm.
you have to then go, huh, how do they make their money? Hmm. What
Well,
policies got greased? What inside information did they have in order to make all that money? So you're like, there's so much corruption in
yeah.
politics. That's why nothing gets done. So,
And speaking of getting done, Renee, is I want to touch on this really quick because you keep saying do your research, do your research. We have two people that are possibly about to be elected, right? We
mhm,
have Harris and Trump.
mhm,
Both of them have been in office.
yep,
Now you have to do your research
yep,
of while each of them were in the office and what took place. And if any of those changes or things that were done while either one of them were in office that you liked or disliked, that's where you really want to go. Because Harris has been in office for just about 4 years. She has had a big say. So do
yeah,
you like
yep,
what you see and the changes and the things that are being done and have been done? Because she has had control of that. So we're going
absolutely.
to get 4 more years of that. Then we have Trump, previously was in office for 4 years.
Mhm,
Did you see or like some of the changes
yep,
that when he was in office?
right.
Okay, so and you're not always just voting for that specific person, you're voting for a party. Even though Biden was our president, Harris had a huge say. She
Yes,
is his party. The
yeah,
party sometimes has a bigger influence than the president itself.
absolutely.
Remember that. And even though Trump was the president, his party made the changes and had the say.
Yeah.
And people are not looking at that and
No.
thinking about that. So we have two previous beauty pageant winners that we
Yep.
are about to crown that
Yep.
have already reigned.
Exactly.
And we need to make the decision of
Yep.
who reigned better.
Yep. Exactly. Where are you today? Where have you been the last 4 years? Where does our country look like the last 4 years versus the 4 years prior? For
Yes.
you, your family, your community, and the country.
Because
That's it.
truth be told, the likelihood of either one of these parties at this very given moment are going to come dive in and make some very, very strong necessary changes to policies, unfortunately. Maybe they will,
Mhm.
but I cannot, I think we're past that, Renee. Like we're so far gone that the fight and the anger in us is because things need to be changed. Not, we can't have the same old thing. We don't want to change the Constitution and what it stands for, but we need to make these little policy changes to
Yeah.
make it right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's willing to do the work to do that.
I mean, time will tell, but I am definitely more passionate now, seeing that things, for me, I don't like where
Yes. Renee, I don't know if you froze or if you're still talking. You might have.
oh, here we go. Yep, I'm here.
Okay, good. It
I'm
might
here.
have froze, but it might just been on my side. So
Okay.
you caught that.
Yeah. No, so I am concerned, and I'm concerned with the last few years. So that's where I will end my thought.
I'm just concerned. I'm concerned completely and all around. The fear for my grandchild to go to school. But I want him, he already has a weapon and he'll be learning how to shoot it, because I want him to understand the consequences of it. But I also want him to be able to have the right to defend himself if needed. My son in the military to be taken care of and to be respected, for police officers and firefighters to be respected and loved and appreciated, because if I am in a bind, I want them there for me.
Yeah.
But do I think that we need a couple policy changes? Yes. Do I think that we need to look at things differently for the safety of everybody? Absolutely. But I am scared and concerned for what's happening and the likelihood that my kids can buy a home. Scares me. Terrifies me. It hurts my heart.
What hurts my heart is the vitriol of a lot of people, the hatred people have, and screaming their opinions and bashing you for having yours. Like, like we said, look at the policies, look at where you are now versus where you were, and make those decisions. But please get up there and vote. Don't sit back and not think you have a say. No matter what state you're in, no matter what electoral side or you believe
never know.
It's going to fall. You don't know until you just show up. You could turn the tables. Who knows?
There were last election, there were states that changed color. And some of these states hadn't changed colors in, never, right? I think there was one that never, and it's flipped. That was crazy. So you never know.
Nope, exactly.
And don't try to force your opinions. You have your reasoning and your opinion. We shared some of our thoughts and our reasoning, and it's not to force our opinion on you.
No.
It's to share our heart and soul. So if you share from a place of why and what you want it to look like, because it does no good to sit here. I'm just going to ignore it for you to be like, oh, you shouldn't vote that because of this.
Right.
That's not going to change me. You're going to only make me not want to change you more. I'm like, that's why I'm not voting that side.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But we knew that this was going to be, this might be a little heated. There might be some people, I know I got really passionate because, we're women. Whether we're women or men, but if we believe something passionately, then we're going to share it. And we are going to be very authentic, because I think that's what we need in this crazy world, is authenticity and kindness and love for all. Easy.
And I hope you guys appreciate this episode. We know that the election is coming, and we're not here to sway you in any way. We want the conversation to be loving and pure before you go to the poll, and show up to the poll looking cute. Okay. As a pink owner, please wear something red, white, and blue. No.
Right. You could be patriotic and badass at the same time. So yes, for sure. Well, thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the next one. We've got lots of great topics that we'll be covering, and be sure, like we said, let us know if there's something else you want to hear from us.
See you next week.
Bye all.